Hello, Madeline.
Hi, Larysa.
So today, the idea of consent. What would you like to share with us about how it can work, what it means to you?
Consent is a big topic. Um, and I appreciate you asking because it's one of those words where like, oh yeah, yeah, consent. But I find in my experience of it, there's a lot to unpack and there's a lot that we're not aware of. There's a lot I didn't know I wasn't aware of about consent until I really started studying it with, Betty Martin and Marsha Baczynski and people like that. Um, but basically, consent is, I would say, is an agreement that two people come to about how they're going to interact with each other, right? And so it's kind of a negotiation sometimes, or even a contract. But what's different about consent is that whereas a lot of things we negotiate a deal and then we execute it, right? A consent is really something where we talk about it up front, but we know that it's going to be shifting and moving as we go. It's kind of a moment to moment sort of a thing. So touch is one of the things that it's really commonly used for because, right, I may have been enjoying one kind of touch one moment, but in the next moment I'm not, right? Like that was great for, a few moments, but now I don't want to be holding hands anymore. I want to do this. So it's like playing like kids on a playground where you're like, let's do this, let's do that. And you've got the rules to the game, but you need that certain amount of freedom to always be changing your mind, always be mixing it up. And it's also about being really clear about what is mine and what is yours. We talked about domain. If you haven't seen that video, watch her video on domain. So there's this sense of boundaries. It's like if we're two countries that are, interacting with each other, there's this border between it. There's the border of my country and the border of your country. And then we're having this, okay, so how are we gonna cross the borders and all of that? And permission is a very typical, it's not exactly consent. Permission is if one party wants to have access to something that's in the other person's domain, they'll say, do I have permission to, say, touch your hair or hold your hand or, do something specific in that way? Um, and so knowing whose is what is important, but and also the power dynamic is important. They have to be equals. If one person has more authority than the other, um, like in the workplace or something like that, it's really difficult to have consent because the one with less authority has more at stake. And it's difficult for them to say, well, if I say no, how is that going to impact my job or the things that I rely on you for, or those needs. So those are important things to acknowledge and take into consideration when we're talking about consent.
So how, if it's not obvious already, because let's say someone's your boss, how can it be identified who's kind of, if it's equal or if someone has the upper hand?
That is a great question. Larissa, that's a really, really great question. And I think, unfortunately, because we live in a culture that has a lot of unspoken power dynamics, age, gender, race, all kinds of things that confer status or that are advantaged, things that are disadvantaged, abilities. Um, the really difficult thing about that dynamic is quite often the person with more status or privilege is oblivious, does not realize, they're, oh, we're all equal or we're all fine, or I don't care which pronouns we use, right? Like that's really common. And it's a matter of all of us kind of raising our awareness and sensitivity. That so unfortunately, usually the person with less status is the one who's impacted and aware of it. And that means they're really the only one that like, I think it benefits all of us when we empower people with less status to speak up and say, hey, this is how this is affecting me. I'm really not comfortable with this. And of course, that's so hard to do because they're the ones that have something to lose. So I'm glad you brought that up, and I don't have an answer for it. Um, it's I think we're all working together to identify that and be more aware of what's happening.
So is there anything the person, if one recognizes one is in the less powerful position, any kind of tips for how to handle that or navigate it?
If you're the one with more power or less power,
Less.
if you're the one with less power, um, I think first of all, finding safe spaces with equals where you can really process and unpack and empower each other is so important these days. Um, and that finding ways to advocate and to feel safe. Um, and and again, whatever work that is, right, that's going to help you find that internal authority or voice to be able to make your own choices. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have to offer. I'm curious, what are your thoughts? What are the things that you would share with people about that?
Well, I guess I can imagine scenarios where you're in the less power position and you don't recognize it. And so you just kind of are treading water, plowing ahead without even recognizing what's at play here. So I think I can imagine it being helpful to acknowledge it first within myself. And I'm wondering, do I want to speak up about this? Like if it is not a clear boss type situation where of course they're an authority, they are the authority. I wonder, if it is helpful to say, I'm kind of feeling like you're more expert at this tennis game than I am. And so I'm even though you're not my teacher, I'm defaulting to asking you as if you were the authority. So I'm feeling like in a position of less authority. Do you feel similarly? Like, kind of just identifying what's going on. What experience are they having? Because sometimes maybe they're not as expert as we've given, maybe we've given them the authority by thinking they're so much more experienced than we are. And they feel like they're just as new as the
Yeah.
next guy.
And it takes a lot of privilege and status even to be able to do that. So I want to acknowledge that. Like we all have the areas where we're, you know, above or below, however you in the hierarchy. Um, and I think for me, it's also leaning into places where I do have more status and authority, and trying to be much more sensitive and holding back, and then also speaking up, right? That's the courage to speak up in the places where people are oblivious, and to say, hey, just FYI, this is what I'm feeling, and you may not be aware, or I you probably don't have that intention, but this is the impact that I'm feeling right now. And having enough safety to do that is no small thing. So yeah, how we get there, I think you're right. Acknowledging it, and then um, again, finding the sounding boards of the other people at our level where we can empower each other, and self-care, just self-care to the extent that we can, to really find ways to self-soothe and self-regulate and build resilience.
We're just about out of time. So any final parting words?
No, I really appreciate you bringing these up and talking about the difficult subjects. And for those of you listening, we just love to have your comments. What do you think?
I appreciate all the knowledge that you share and great conversations and getting to think about things in new ways. So thank you. Thank you.